go, 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 go.
Hi and welcome back to the Academy of Historical Fencing. In this video I'm going to take you through one of our boarding action days. This was a 4-hour exercise in practicing our melee games for the boarding actions from Pringle Green. Now there's a lot that could be said about this subject, a vast amount, and I'm going to keep it as concise as I possibly can, whilst also explaining to you what is going on so you have an understanding, and maybe if you want to replicate it yourselves. You're going to have to obviously use your imagination here, as the participants did, because, you know, in an ideal situation we would have actual ships on the actual sea, you know, and all the obstacles involved, and cannons and working muskets and all these kind of things. But we don't have access to those, and realistically you're not going to. But this is a fascinating and unique manual, and it really does warrant a look at, and you can have a lot of fun doing it. And that's kind of the important thing here, is you can get a bit of a flavour by reading and applying some of the manual, but most importantly you can just have a lot of fun doing it at the same time. So it's a bit informative and it's a lot of fun. So let's get straight into what the manual is, and then we'll show you how the games went and what kind of rules we used and why. Pringle Green's manual is a really unique manual out there in the HEMA world, and that is because nothing else really exists like it, which is what makes it unique. So Pringle Green, he wrote his manual in 1812. He was a veteran of the Battle of Trafalgar. He was aboard the British Royal Navy ship that captured the flagship, the French-Spanish flagship at Trafalgar. So, you know, he knew a thing or two about attack and defence. And what his manual was really about was improving the training and the weaponry and the tactics of ship's crews and anybody else aboard those ships, so that they could stand a better chance in combat, and especially being able to defend themselves in situations where they're really up against it in terms of against the odds, even 2-to-1 type situations. And he basically considered the lack of training and lack of weaponry and discipline to be a massive issue at the time. So at the time in the Royal Navy, there was no standardised system of swordsmanship or really much to do with combat individually, in terms of boarding actions or fighting on land. It was very, very simplistic. Of course, there was a lot to do with the actual use of the ship and cannon and things like that. But in terms of what's going on with swords and muskets, it was actually really quite primitive, and there was no standardisation. Ship's captains were just left to their own devices to train or not train their crews as they saw fit. So they might not have had any formal training with, say, swords. They might have been able to get a bit of instruction, but you don't know where it's coming from or to what level or how often they're training. Other captains just encouraged their crews to just brawl among themselves and become basically rowdy brawlers. So a real mixed bag. And it wasn't until a good time after Pringle Green's manual that any kind of standardisation really came in. And so he was writing this manual to improve the weaponry and the tactics. Now, if you'd like a free copy of this manual, you can head to our website, swordfight.uk, and you can get a free transcription PDF on there. It's really well worth reading, it's really quite interesting, and you can apply it to melee games like this. Again, you've really got to use your imagination, a bit of suspension of disbelief, but, you know, just get out there and have a bit of fun with these melee games. So in terms of the manual, he doesn't actually talk a lot about swordsmanship, and that's because it's not especially important when you're talking about group combat. Individual skill with a sword is not hugely significant when you're talking about large groups of fighters. And so he just had a simple strategy, simple cuts, a few parries, which really are just half-hanging parries, and sort of Guard of St. George, really simplistic. But significantly, he introduced the use of the pistol as a parrying device to take vertical cuts that come down towards your head, which is an inventive use of the pistol, which of course at this time was single shot. And so once you fired that shot in a short engagement was useless, and they were usually discarded, just thrown away. So keeping the pistol to use as a parrying device is quite an interesting perspective, and we've used that in the sparring games. What Pringle Green talks a massive amount about is group formation, tactics, structure, discipline, having roles of officers and NCOs, and being able to take on positions of those ranked above you if they fall, that kind of thing. So that's hugely important. This first exercise that we ran, it's not just about having fun, it is understanding the command structure and showing some initiative. So what's happening here is I am pointing the sword in a direction which the officer in charge is therefore going to lead the squad in that direction, but at any time we can put our pistol against them, say bang, and shoot them dead. And they've only got 3 officers, and after the 3 officers are dead, we're encouraging people to take charge, to show some initiative, and that's what's needed in these situations, is not just the training but also the initiative to take charge, because once the discipline leadership falls apart, the whole battle falls apart. So this was a 4-hour training day. We'd normally do a Naval Boarding Action section at an event of usually 1 to 1.5 hours. But this was one of our own dedicated 4-hour training days, which is a lot, and it can exhaust people quite quickly. So we started off with something simple, and then we moved on and progressed it and got the training and tactics nailed down. The first game that we actually played, the first sparring game, was just a straight-up fight, using only swords and basically smaller weapons, so no musket with bayonets and no pikes, anything like that. So keeping it just a straight up simple fight, good warm up, get people going, get people into the idea of into the flavour of melee, and then we progressed.
I'm dead. I'm already dead.
Now the next exercise looked at the superiority of the long defensive arms. So when you're boarding a ship, and Pringle Green talks about this, when you're boarding initially, you can really only board with swords and pistols because you need your hands to be able to manoeuvre over and get over, and we can't represent all of those things in this scenario, but in terms of the weaponry, you get the idea. So in defence, you can use your muskets with bayonets and your pikes and stuff like that really quite effectively as defensive arms, whereas the attackers are having to use much smaller weapons to be able to manoeuvre and get aboard.
Stay back.
And so in this melee game, we're looking at exactly that and seeing how a much smaller number of fighters with these polearms can hold off the swords. Anybody who's practiced with swords and polearms will know that range is a massive advantage.
I whittled down, he said. Pull back. Let him funnel in. Left flag reform.
Now yes, Pringle Green talks a lot about how you can not just use the weapons that you've got, but also the tactics and training to overcome massive odds. And one example of how he does this is, rather than just fighting at the gunnel where your opponents can have the advantage of against you, is to draw back and create basically a kill box. And you're going to fall back into 3 formations and draw them in so that the enemy is attacking from only one side and you're able to fight them from 3. And you can see exactly that happening here, and it is absolutely deadly. And in the manual actually there are muskets still firing from midships. We've only got bayonets here, but you get the idea. Create the kill box, it's really effective, so a smaller number of crew members in defence can overcome a much larger attacking force.
Look at them cowards.
And hopefully by now, the superiority of polearms in these kind of scenarios where they're able to work in a formation block in a tight space is incredibly effective. So I talked about the lack of gunnery and of course use of the actual pistols as firearms, use of the musketry and the cannons, and Pringle Green does talk about using the guns that are on deck, because there are situations where you can bring up guns to fire onto the decks from, say, the quarter deck, things like that. So to represent that, we added in these bolts, and it was a simple rule that, in this case, I was the cannon.
Boom!
So I was in a fixed position or in a fixed line, so that, the cannon wasn't moving around in a silly fashion. And if you were hit by a ball, that counted as a kill. Not any deflections, because of course these are softballs, that would be silly, but a direct hit counted as a kill. And the beauty of this is, just as the cannon is being used in Pringle Green, you can use it for the disruption of attacking forces, particularly when they're prepping for an actual assault. Is you can just use it for an instant impact and really take the heart out of their assault.
Captain's dead! Captain's dead!
So working through Pringle Green scenarios, the next step would be when you're boarded from both sides, as in an enemy ship from either side, which is a nightmare scenario, as you can imagine. And when you're attacked on both sides, it's important that you have essentially rapid reaction forces. And Pringle Green talks a lot about this, of having different squads doing different things, and especially having forces that are able to, at the command of the captain or other subordinates, being able to work as this rapid reaction force to plug the gaps where necessary. And so that command structure that we worked on earlier on in the event, this is where it's incredibly important, and you can see it coming into play where the captain or his subordinates are pushing their relief forces into the gaps.
Right, ready? 3, 2, go! Ooh, shit.
Now, most of these scenarios we do use spawn for the attackers, but not for the defenders. And the reason for that is to allow these kind of wave attacks to go in. Because in reality, the numbers involved in these ships, even on, say, a brig might be, 70, 80, up to 120 crew. And some of these vessels will be up to many hundreds, so these actions could actually be vast. Now, you see in some of these engagements where it just becomes kind of a locked-in combat where nobody's really moving, and so often people see that and say, oh, why don't you just rush in? Why don't you rush in? Well, throughout this video, you're going to see loads of scenarios where they rush in, and the majority of the time, they take horrific casualties. And again, we're not using gunnery here, or at least not yet. So, rushing in is valuable, but it can be very dangerous, very risky.
Ready for the big push. Advance, advance, go! That means I actually have to go. Yeah.
In this next scenario, Pringle Green talks about a situation where one of the masts has come down and crashed onto the ship, which in itself can be an issue, but from a defensive perspective, also channels the enemy. So in this situation, the enemy, as they board your ship, are boxed in, and you can use that to your advantage. And so that's what you see happening here, as well as the cannon still in play.
He's been reading my playbook. Pole arms, 2 to the left, 2 to the left, 2 pole arms, go left, go left, go left, fight over the mast. Everyone else, hold the line, hold the line. Fall back, right wheel. Hold the line, don't let him push.
Now, we worked through most of the Pringle Green situations as best we possibly can, representing them as, you know, with what we've got. But ultimately, we then added in some scenarios that were more kind of based on certain things that I've read about or fun situations. So one of them is a night attack. So you're attacked at night whilst everybody's below deck, and it's a rush. So you might have superior numbers. Let's say boats are brought up at night and as an assaulting force. And most of the crew is below deck, and they just quickly grab whatever's to hand. So the defenders have got superior numbers, but inferior weaponry. So they only get one weapon each, and a lot of them are just short sort of daggers and whatever they can get, whereas the attackers are equipped with any hand weapons they want.
Sword to the front, sword to the front. Right, push round to the 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 right. No, it gets down, push round to the right. Alright, rush him, there's only one, there's only one! Yeah. Ready? Go, 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 go! Yep. Right, so to the front, united defence.
And the final game, and this is just a bit of silliness to end with, so this is the Ecstasy of Gold, for anybody that's familiar with the good, the bad, and the ugly. So yes, we have 3 sides, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You can decide which one's which, and a prize in the centre, and it's the rush to try and capture it. So this is just an all-out sort of crazy, 3-way assault. Just to kind of end with, have a bit of fun, look at some of, the different kind of chaotic scenarios that you might get fighting aboard a ship.
Well, that was daft.
Everyone ready?
Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. Dead. Oh! Ready? Dead. Oh! Yeah, that wasn't the best plan, was it? Oh!
So that's a good overview to what we did, or at least the best I can give you with the amount of footage that we have, because ultimately we were all involved, and so it was hard to capture everything that we did on film, but I think you've got a good overview. If you'd like to stick around to see a few more highlights, then I'm just going to give you some footage without commentary, and you can just see a bit more of the chaos that went on.
Forward, push, push, push. Come on. Yep. Alarm, alarm, alarm. Hold. Hold this position. Don't let him get any of their dirty feet on board. Yeah, you'll never take our, what have we got? Butter? Spices, yeah. You'll never take our our spices. Watch for snipers on the gunnels. Yeah. Push round midships, push round midships. Nice. It's the push and fight.
On me! Spears on me! Defenders on me! Sorry, you shouldn't be doing that. One man of honor. Oh, beautiful.
You alright, David? Good.
And that's it. So that's Pringle Green for you. This is a 4-hour sparring day that we did, or sparring and melee games and instruction, all sorts of things. The Pringle Green manual is really fascinating. It's a really unique insight into naval boarding actions of the day. If you want to check it out, check our website. If you want to run some melee games, feel free to take some ideas from us. It's really, really good fun. And yeah, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already.
Go, 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 go! He's stuck in my arm thing. Reset, reset, reset.